Hey everyone, we're going to talk about the New Deal programs today. Remember, the New Deal is this series of government programs that our new President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or FDR for short, is going to create that's going to help people directly, give them direct government aid, help them find jobs, help them get food on the table, all that good stuff, and help businesses and private enterprise, unlike what Hoover wanted to do, where he just wanted to help businesses and private enterprise. So our first program that we're going to look at is called the FDIC, or the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. You're going to see all of these New Deal programs have abbreviations, and there's a lot of them, so try to remember the abbreviations. Some people call this alphabet soup since there's so many letters. So FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. So if you ever go to the bank and you need to deposit something or withdraw something, on the window on the way into the bank or up to the teller window where you go hand them your money or get your money from them, you might see an FDIC sticker, a Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation sticker. This is the reform during the Great Depression that is going to make sure your money is protected. And here it is on the front of the bank. You might see the sticker. So back during the Great Depression, if a bank failed, they lost everybody's money that was inside of it. So this is going to require most banks, the FDIC is going to require most banks to hold insurance on people's money. And that insurance will be with the FDIC. Insurance helps you get something back in case if something crazy happens, right? Like if you get in a car accident, if you have insurance, you'll probably get a lot of your money. You'll probably have your insurance company help cover that accident. So the insurance is just in case a bank fails, you will get your money back. That's basically all you need to know about the FDIC. If a bank fails, you will get up to $250,000 per bank account back. So if you have $250,000, you get all of it back. You got more, you only get $250,000 back. So because of this, people start to trust the banks. They're like, oh, well, now I could use the banks. I'm not afraid that they're going to fail or that everyone's going to run to the bank and withdraw their money and they're going to run out. Now people start trusting the banks again, and the economy can start to grow, start to prosper. Banks can start loaning businesses money again, and everything starts going really well. Now we need to remember, is this relief, recovery, or reform? Just a quick reminder. If it's relief, it's helping people out immediately, food, shelter, jobs, that type of stuff. Recovery, it's getting the economy going again. It's getting people using the stock market, using the banks. And reform is fixing a problem that started the Great Depression in the first place. Well, this one's too. It's getting the economy going again. It's getting people going to the bank because now people are comfortable. But it's also a reform because one of the reasons the Great Depression got so bad was that everybody lost, well, so many people lost their money when the banks failed. So this is going to help stop the negative effects of the bank failures. So it is reforming or fixing that problem. Let's move on to Social Security. A lot of us are already aware of this. If you have a job today, or even if you're born in the United States, you have a Social Security card which has your number on it. So if you have a job, you pay into Social Security most of the time. A portion of your check comes out of Social Security. A portion of your check is taken out, and then it's given to the Social Security Administration. And that's all because of the Social Security Act. So that money is going to go towards the people that are retired or disabled today. So after you retire, and you could do it as early as 62 today, I believe, or up to 70, 71, 72, you can say you're going to retire and you start taking monthly payments. You get monthly checks based on how much money you've contributed to Social Security your whole life. And the people that are working at the time when you retire are helping fund your retirement. Just like right now, if you're not working, or right now if you're not retired, if you're a young guy like me, then you are funding people's retirement through Social Security. So this is going to make sure that even if you lose everything, if the stock market crashes again, if you don't have any money by the time you're old and you can't work anymore. This is a safety net to catch you. You're going to get some money every month from the government, from the Social Security Administration, that's going to help you survive. So what had happened was so many older people had to go back to work when the stock market crashed, when the banks failed. You got 70, 80, 90-year-olds all of a sudden who were retired who don't have anything anymore because they lost all of their money. So this is to make sure that we never have to have grandma or grandpa go back to work again after they're safely retired. If they lose everything, they still have Social Security to protect them. So it's a safety net. And even people with disabilities, certain disabilities, can also get Social Security benefits because they may be unable to physically go to work. So this is a reform. This is fixing a problem that made the Great Depression so bad. If a lot of people were under this Social Security safety net when the Great Depression happened, when the stock market crashed, they would have been okay. They wouldn't have been forced out of their homes because they had no money. Social Security could have saved a lot of people and gave them a safety net and said, you're not going to that Hooverville. You're going to be okay. Let's talk about this one. The SEC, or the the Securities and Exchange Commission. So this has to do with the stock market, as you see right here. So remember, in the 20s, it was going up, 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 up. And in 1929 on Black Tuesday, it crashed real hard. This is going to be a reform to try to stop that from happening again, to try to better regulate and put rules on the stock market. So it'll have certain rules for investing, prohibiting things like insider trading, limits on how much you can invest, so such and such, and ultimately make the stock market at least a little safer to use and not so accessible for everyone to use and throw their whole savings in it. And it can even close the stock market if it falls too much in a day. At least that was its original purpose. So the goal, stop stock market crashes. So this would be a recovery. It's going to put people's it's going to increase people's confidence in the stock market and get them using the stock market again. But it's also going to be a reform because we all know that the stock market crash was the biggest reason for the Great Depression happening. Let's go to this one, PWA, Public Works Administration. So this is just going to try to stimulate or grow the economy by providing jobs in the public sector. So the federal government, the U.S. government, is going to give jobs to build schools, roads, post offices, highways, bridges, courts, all that good stuff, all those government buildings and resources like roads and such. So work on the infrastructure of our country. This is going to help people directly by giving them jobs. So is it relief, recovery, or reform? If you said relief, you're right. It's helping people out directly. It's giving people jobs directly. There's an argument to be made that it also could be recovery because getting people jobs might help stimulate the economy, but relief works the best. Let's talk about TVA, a really important one. Tennessee Valley Authority. So the Tennessee Valley Authority is going to take a lot of the rural areas of America, a lot of these areas that don't have power yet, don't have electricity yet, that spread like wildfire through the 1920s. And the government's going to create jobs to build these water dams that are going to generate electricity. So, because so many people didn't have it. So states like Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Kentucky, North Carolina, Georgia are going to have these water dams in them that the government is going to create to generate electricity for them. So there was a need for electricity. The government came in, created jobs, and built these big, massive water dams for people. So that means there's more electricity for these people. There's more jobs. There's now water dams there that are also going to require jobs kind of on an ongoing basis. And more businesses and people are going to be like, hey, let's go to these states because now they have electricity. Now we can do business there, which is going to generate more economic opportunity for them. So this is what I mean by a water dam. It's going to literally hold back the water, and in a complicated way, because I'm just a history teacher, that's going to help generate electricity. TVA, electricity for all. So is it relief, recovery, or reform? Well, it's giving people jobs, so which one's that? That'd be relief, helping people out directly, but it's also gonna have it's going to attract more people and businesses to the area. That's going to help create more economic opportunity, which could be recovery. Here's just a little map of the Tennessee Valley Authority, as you see here. You see that it talks about flood control through the water dams, and electricity is going to be a byproduct of that control. As we're talking about, it's going to store water. That's going to help our plants, our farms, all sorts of stuff is going to be a benefit because of the TVA, and it's going to really improve the area of the South in these states that we mentioned. Okay, let's get on to the AAA, or the Agricultural Adjustment Act. So this is to help all those farmers. Remember why farmers aren't doing well? Well, there was that Dust Bowl event, which was created by a drought and over-farming that really destroyed their farms where they were living. So a lot of farmers aren't doing well. And also farmers that weren't affected by the Dust Bowl had this overproduction of crops, which is lowering prices. So farmers are really struggling. So this overproduction of crops is going to lead to lower prices of food, like we just said, which is going to hurt them really badly. There was so much food being created. So the government had to step in and try to regulate this, try to create demand for food. And this is a little more controversial aspect of this. So the government realized if farmers are failing, if farmers go bankrupt, if they go out of business, then the nation's food supply will be at risk. So we need to create demand for food, for prices, in order to help the farmers survive, so we don't lose a lot of these farms. So the government's literally going to pay people to grow less food. They're going to say, you see these areas of your farm? Don't grow anything there. Just leave it. And we're going to give you money not to grow stuff. And you could just hang out. And at times, they'll even pay you, they paid people to burn crops, to destroy them, which was very controversial since so many people were hungry in the country. But it's going to help stabilize the economy and help stabilize farmers. So this is going to be recovery because it's going to help stabilize the economy and make prices go up and help the farmers economically. And our last one, there's a lot more New Deal programs, by the way. We're just looking at a few today. So this is the National Recovery Act, or the NRA, not the rifle organization. So this is going to be an effort by the federal government to stabilize prices. So all over the country, since some businesses were doing well, some businesses weren't doing well, prices were kind of going all over the place. And the government wanted to come in and say, you know what, we want to prevent it where in one state bananas might be 25 cents, in another state they might be $1. Let's set prices of certain goods to make it more stable and not have all this inflation and deflation where the value of $1 is going all over the place and people can't properly save and know how much they'll need from week to week. So let's set prices of goods, let's limit production of goods so those prices actually make sense and stabilize over time, and let's establish a minimum wage where everyone in the country is at least getting a certain amount of money. So again, prices aren't going all over the place. So that was the goal. Now these last two programs we just talked about, the AAA, Agricultural Adjustment Act, and the NRA, National Recovery Act, are actually going to be declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, and we'll talk about that later. Thanks, guys.